What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you know, it's a guy here, Dantes. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing it. And today, I have a guest for you guys. That's why you can see there is another seat here beside me. So who is the guest? Okay, we're gonna welcome her, and then we move on to the topic. The topic of today, I'll not tell you, just chill. So guys, today I'm having a guest here today. Yeah, she's a therapist. So we're gonna hear from her. Let her introduce herself and tell us what she does and what she's doing. So, welcome, Karim.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm a therapist in training. I'm still getting my master's in counseling and psychology from USIU. Yeah, so right now I'm doing a practicum with teenage mothers and also their children. I interact with their children as well. So that's what I'm doing for my
practicum. So, yeah. Let's get what she has to say or what we have to say, and then let's...
Working at an NGO that works with teenage girls who are either pregnant or have young babies. Yeah, so it's been really eye-opening. You know, before I started this, it's like I kind of knew the struggles that they must go through and that kind of stuff, but I hadn't really thought through it in the Kenyan context. I'd been thinking it in the American context.
Yeah, like commenting on that is like for me, I have been to some areas where I was working before.
Mm-hmm.
So those areas that when you get pregnant, you become like an outcast.
Mm.
So the family, they don't want anything to do with you anymore.
When you're a teenager?
Yeah, when you're a teenager. When you're not even a teenager, when you are not yet married.
Okay.
Yeah. So you feel like, then there was this thing that you feel like people are getting married when they are very young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because...
In some parts of the country.
Yeah, you are not the one you're not the one who has a say
Mm-hmm.
on your marriage, who to marry or who you're in love with. No.
Yeah.
It's that the parent, they decide for you who's gonna marry you and when you're gonna be married. That's the case.
Yeah, and something crazy in Kenya is that you can get married when you're less than 18 years old, but you can't consent to sex before you're 18, which means if you get married before you're 18, which is common in some parts of the country, your parents are giving consent for someone to marry you. You have no say in the matter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of messed up, and that's kind of what I'm working with. I'm working with girls from all over the country, many different areas, and some of them do come from areas where, yeah, getting married and pregnant at 14 is okay, and it's normal, but based on the law, they didn't consent to that.
That's about it.
Yeah,
it's
it's really messed up. I think the stereotype of teenage moms, because we don't really know teenage dads, you know, they're kind of like they do their thing and then they're gone. They don't really like stay around. So teenage moms, obviously, they have a child to take care of. And in the U.S., I mean, which country am I in?
In Kenya.
In Kenya, it's like more like rarely do you hear of a dad taking care of a child on his own, right? It's normally the mom who takes care of the child. Yeah, so because of that, these girls end up quitting school as soon as they find out they're pregnant. So even before they start to show, they can be 1-2 months, they find out they're pregnant, they leave school. And in the US, I mean, in my own high school, I remember there were some girls that were pregnant and they walked around, they had maternity clothes on, they looked cute, like it wasn't, to me it wasn't weird. I always thought those girls were really brave because, you know, people are having sex in high school. This is a fact. I'm sorry if that ruins some people's day, but that is a fact.
It's a fact, yeah.
You know, so because of that, it's like these girls that were pregnant, they were just proof that they had sex, whereas there was other people that just didn't have the proof. And so for me, I never thought that there should be a stigma for these girls, you know? What about in Kenya, in high schools in Kenya? What happens if you're pregnant in school?
When you get pregnant when you're in high school, in Kenya, you're not kicked out of the school.
Okay.
But I think some circumstances, they make you to get out of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see, when you are pregnant, you are walking evidence that you had sex.
Right.
You have an evidence that you had sex. So some people will like, what do you call it? It's like they mock about you or they start saying some words about you. So I think that's also I think that's what drives people to get out of school. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not about. It's not about the school or the government to tell you to go. No, the government it's encouraging you can continue your studies.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to turn off your phones?
Yeah, continue.
It's
Turning off
distracting.
my phone. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. Yeah, so what he was saying is like legally, you can't kick someone out of school for being. So, yeah, like Dan was saying, there is no legal reason why a girl should be kicked out of school for being pregnant in Kenya. But it's like the culture surrounding it, it's hard for her to stay.
Yeah, it's like that stigma. You understand?
Yeah.
When like you feel like people they joke about you, they mock
Right.
you, yeah, yeah. So you just feel like no, it's enough. Let me just
Yeah.
walk out of the school.
And it might be your peers, it could be your teachers, because
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, teachers in Kenya, they're mean. Like, they're tough. So I can see them like making fun of girls and like pointing them out, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they can harass them.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
And also another,
Some be nice to them.
yeah,
You don't know, it's like just like outside there, you see people are nice to you, some are about you, some are gonna say this, some gonna encourage you. So it's like
yeah. So I think also like high school here is very intense. Like you wake up very early, you go to bed very late, and so for someone who's also pregnant, that could also be really difficult to do. So there's multiple reasons why a girl might drop out of school right away when she finds out she's pregnant. Well, what that means is it's really hard for her to get back to school. Because now, after she gives birth, now she has a child she has to take care of, and she has to go to school. And so most times, those girls just don't go back to school. You know, they stay out and they don't get to finish their education. And they might have left primary, they might have left high school, it depends what age they got pregnant at. So it really is a huge disruption to life here. There's also not like that many daycares, so for the most part, either you need to take care of your child or a family member, or you can pay to have someone. But for someone that is like has less money, they can't pay to have a nanny. Or what do you call them?
yeah, some
Nannies?
things, yeah.
Okay, I thought there was another word for it.
House girls.
House girl, yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really tricky. It's hard for these girls.
So are they open to you? What are they saying?
Yeah, kind of. My experience so far, you know, it's a very cross-cultural experience. I am like older than they are by many years, like 15 years or so for some.
Wow.
I know. That makes me feel really old to say that. So I'm older, but then also I come from a different country. My language, even though we speak English, some girls have different levels of English depending on how many years they were out of school. Some girls maybe took 4 years before they were able to go back to school. So maybe their English is behind, or maybe it's my accent, or the fact that we're wearing masks. You know, it's like there's a lot of barriers. So some girls are open, some are not at this point. But I think a lot of it is cultural. You know, when you're in a different place, you have to try to understand like what is normal there. And so, for instance, like in some tribes in Kenya, it is not appropriate to give eye contact to an elder. And I'm considered an elder. This is so old. But, so some girls, they don't feel comfortable giving me eye contact because they were raised, like, don't look an elder in the eyes.
Yeah.
Whereas some were given that. So it kind of depends because Kenya is very diverse. There's a lot of different customs and cultures here. So that's kind of hard for me to know, like, what is expected on their part and what's expected on my part. So that's been a barrier. Then English has been a barrier, like speaking English. Because my Swahili, I'm not about to be trying to talk about mental health in Swahili. Not even close. All I know is health is afya. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah. So what you have you learned from them?
I've learned a lot. They have a lot of resilience, which is like that strength that keeps them going.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine being in their situation. A lot of these girls, they were rejected from their families when they found out they were pregnant, and they were told never to come back to home, which I cannot imagine having that pressure. Because it's like, don't come home, also you're 18 and you're trying to finish 8th grade. Like, and you have a child to take care of. Like, that is a lot on your plate. So I've seen a lot of resilience in them. And something I haven't mentioned is that the NGO I work at, the girls live with their babies. So they feed the babies, they bathe them every day, they wash the babies' clothes. So they're full-time mom and they're full-time student. So they have even that, it's not like, oh, I get to go just do whatever I want. I'm not just like a student. No, you're a student.
A lot of responsibilities.
Yeah. And some of these girls, some became pregnant because they were never educated what sex is. Some became pregnant by force.
Yeah, true. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, when you're growing up, like I myself, I didn't get anyone to talk to me about anything about sex.
Yeah.
And it's not me. I think many people outside there, here in Kenya, or maybe outside the Kenya, or in Africa in general, it's hard to sit down with parents and talk about sex.
I can't imagine that.
It's very hard. So many of us, we don't get that chance to talk, or someone to explain to us, or to tell us how this thing goes on. So it's hard. So we lack that knowledge, and many people, they find themselves in that kind of troubles there.
And it's not taught in school.
Yeah, then in school we were not taught about it. Yeah, that's another thing.
So it's like some of these girls, the situation is like an older man who was like over 21 and they were maybe like 12, 13, 14 years old. This older man like started a relationship with them and had sex with them. So like I don't think those girls were able to really know what was going on. How can you be 12 and a old guy was like, hey, let's do this thing, and you're like, I don't know. He's like, I should respect what he says. And also there's this element of like, for girls in Kenya who don't have as much money, having an older man can seem like, oh, they'll take care of me, they'll provide for me.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
So there's some creepy old dudes out here.
Then also this thing happens so much to those people who lives in rural areas.
Right, yeah.
That thing affect them so much, not for people who lives in town, but those who lives in rural area, they are the ones who are affected with those things, because maybe you are pregnant, but you don't have money to go for what do you call it, abortions, because there are some people who are doing abortion here in town.
Right.
Those who are have more knowledge about it. Like in towns, many kids in town, they have more knowledge than those in the village, those in the rural areas. So they don't have that money. You get me?
Right.
Then the other thing is that they don't have those what do you call them? They don't have like money to buy like condoms. They don't have anywhere to get them.
Oh, yeah.
But like here in town or in urban areas, they have their friends. And tell your friends, hey bro, I have this, or they do, tell them, what can I do? So they'll share more information. But in rural areas, it's hard.
Yeah.
Then, so I think it's because the rural areas had more hardship than in town, and they lack knowledge.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah, and I'm not condoning. I'm not like supporting abortion. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
It's not a good.
yeah, but it's like the girls in the rural areas, they have less education, they have less financial support from their families.
Yeah.
They will be isolated. So the things that cause them to become pregnant or to like look to a man to support them are higher than the girls in town.
True.
So these girls can be rejected from their families, and then they're like, what do we do? So a lot of the girls I talk to, they're preparing for their KCPE, which for those who are not Kenyan, that's like what you do to leave primary school. You get a certificate and you get a score or a letter grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're preparing for this, and basically, depending on how they do in the KCPE, will determine if they can go to high school, which high schools they can go to, or if they have to go to trade school, or they don't know what to do. So these girls have so much pressure thinking, okay, well, what do I do after I finish primary? And imagine finish primary when you're 19 years old. That's hard, And now you're thinking,
It's very hard for them.
yeah, now you're thinking, oh, I can go to high school, but I'm going to be 19 and everyone else will be starting when they're 14.
Yeah.
So there's
And when
also
you're-
that discrimination that can come.
And when you're 18, you should be leaving high school.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So there could be a lot of like bullying or discomfort or just feeling like you don't fit in because
Yeah.
you're much older.
Than the other kids that
Yeah. And you have more life
That's good.
experience.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have a child now.
True, true.
So you're asking me, sorry, your question from earlier is what have they taught me? Okay, I think I understand the situation surrounding a lot of these pregnancies and these relationships that they have when they get pregnant. So I'm understanding that more. I'm understanding like just the level of stress they have. I think also there's a lack of social supports here for people in their situation. Whereas in the US you can sign up for like WIC, which is like a food program to give you food if you don't have much money. There's different like there's a lot more NGOs in the US that would help with this kind of situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I think here the girls, they really, if their family has rejected them, they're really on their own.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think working at this organization as a counselor is really important because they have a lot of past traumas, they have a lot of stress, they have a lot on their shoulders, that it's good that I'm able to be there and talk to them.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing is, how can you tell those girls who are out there, they have not yet faced that challenge, and maybe they can be the victims also,
Yeah.
which nobody knows. How can you tell them, or how can you advise them? Then how can you tell the parents who have those kids that they get pregnant and they throw them out their house? Yeah, how can you talk to them, or
Okay.
how can you?
Well, my first thing is for parents in general, whether you're in Kenya or wherever you are, it's important to teach your children about sex. And maybe that's like super controversial in this country, but it's natural, it's a natural phenomenon. So instead of looking at it as like, oh, it is bad to even mention the word, like, no, okay, be honest about it, because honesty is going to help them know what's going on. Also, like, when you're going through puberty, you don't understand your body, and to just assume like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. No, explain why their changes are happening in their body. Like, I think that's really important because it's not included that much in the curriculum in education in Kenya. So I would say to parents, like, make sure you talk to your children, be honest, and don't hide things from them like that. I'm not saying you have to go and like give them condoms and be like, go, have fun. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying teach them about the physical consequences of sex, but also, because there's also HIV and other STDs, so that's also another important thing to teach about. But also just teach them how hard it is, like the struggles that people go through when they become pregnant when they're young. So that's one thing I would say to the parents. For the parents who kick out their children, I think what's important is to look at what I just said. Like, did you have that talk with them? Did you explain what's going on? Do you have circumstances at home that may be impacting this girl's decision to have a relationship with another man? Like, are things hard at home and they felt like that was the only way they could support the family is by having some guy giving them money every week, you know? So don't blame them. Look at what have you done as a parent first, and then kind of evaluate, like, did I do the best I could to prevent this? If not, then you kind of have to look at yourself.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even if they found themselves in that trouble, you're the parent, you should just take care of him or her. They are your sons and daughters.
Right,
And then just take care of them. Nobody knows about tomorrow.
right.
Yeah, because if you don't encourage them or you don't support them, who will support them? Will you be happy when your kid is struggling there outside there
Right.
or being on the street? How will you sleep as a parent? How will you just sleep and be comfortable in bed when your kid is sleeping on the street?
Yeah, and your grandchild as well. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So, yeah, that's to the parents. For the girls, okay, because I don't really have to say much to the boys. As in, the boys, they just, like I said, they just go on with their day.
Yeah, like in chunga sana.
They impregnate women and they're like, bye.
Yeah.
But I guess I
But
would
take your
say,
responsibility.
yes. Yeah, because,
If you decide it's that, do it and you know there are some consequences to come with.
yeah,
If the girl gets pregnant, just take that responsibility.
right.
That's your kid also.
I guess we can say that you do have a consequence to sex for
Yeah.
boys, for men, is that you have a responsibility. You have a child that you brought into this life, so it is your duty to take care of them. And I think that's important. Also, if a girl says no, she doesn't want to have sex, respect that and move on. Like, just because a girl rejects you doesn't mean that your life is over. Like, move on. I hope your ego can sustain it, and it can. Just recognize that your life is more than just this girl who rejected you, because that's something also that has been in the news in Kenya of the boat riders who sexually assaulted this girl.
And we are sorry about that.
And it's heartbreaking and disgusting. And the thing is, this is very like this kind of thing happens. Maybe not to that extent.
Yeah.
But it happens where guys are like, no, she said no to me. She doesn't want me. No, that means she doesn't want you. That means move on with your life.
Yeah.
It just makes me so mad.
Okay, guys, so do you stop there?
Yeah, I think it's such an important topic, and I have so much to say about it because I've been learning so much.
Yeah, let's hear comments from them.
Yeah.
If you guys were interested with this kind of topics, let us know so that we can continue with part 2 or episode 2.
Yeah, because we can talk about more mental health topics.
And if you have any question, just put there on comment so that the next time she can answer that for you guys.
Yeah, and I think my last thing I would say is I've said a lot of negative things in this video about Kenya or Kenyans, and this is not saying everyone is like this. And I'm not saying that US does not have people like this. We definitely do. It's a problem everywhere. It's just I'm here now, and these are the girls I'm working with now. So, yeah, I don't want people to be like, oh, how dare she say that about my country? No. Like,
it's not about
be
the
honest.
country. We are just talking about
Yeah.
humans.
And about my
That's-
experiences
yeah.
in this country.
Yeah, nature doesn't care if
Yeah.
you're black, white. It's what is happening.
It's a reality
Yeah, it's a
that needs to
reality
be
and
addressed.
that's what is happening.
Yeah.
So
please don't think like I hate Kenya or I think Kenyans are the worst. No.
Yeah.
There's just, these are examples of things that have happened in this country. Yeah.
So thanks guys. Continue subscribing, continue supporting us, and see you.
In the next one. Thank you.
Don't go away.